Hey, what's up? Silas here. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the socialization of parenting. So, there's a few things that have made me think about this I'm going to be touching on in this video. The first one is this Madonna video I posted. I posted a video up about how there was this People magazine cover of Madonna with her kids saying, "My life with my kids." So, this whole idea of raising your kids in the public eye. I don't know where. I mean, it hasn't really happened. I think it hasn't happened for a while because we just also have the technology to do this. We have the technology to constantly catalog everything our children are doing and put it out there. And I really think it's going to be rather interesting to see how kids grow up in the future, being able to go back and see all the photos of themselves, see video of themselves as they were toddlers, and be able to relate to other people in the world. I have an amazing nephew that I often have to fight the temptation to just spam all my social media platforms with him. I share it with friends and stuff, and I've shared his photos with friends who don't get the constant "oh" from kids reaction, and even they've admitted that that's a really cute kid, and he really is. But I've had some situations where like he'll call me and then he'll call me over like WhatsApp, which is this international messaging thing. So he'll call me that, and then my sister will tell me that he's recognized a photo of me as a kid, and there's this whole thing like it's like, wow, he's recognized a photo of me as a baby, and I'm like wondering like, that's kind of cool. He never saw me as a kid, but he can do that, and that could be in part due to the fact that okay, there's general features that you see with familial members and things like that, and he probably recognized some features with the mom, but also him having the video of seeing himself as a kid. Maybe now you can start realizing, okay, this is me as a kid, that's my mom, this is familiar. Then she can kind of add the thing like, okay, that's my uncle, and then now that's him as a kid. We can see the similarities. So there's that. Now, keeping that for the kid themselves, I think that's an awesome thing. I think if you have the ability to do it, you should definitely catalog your child's life and you can share that with the kid. And I think in the future, that will lead to adults that have more of a relation both to kids in their lives. I think it will lead to more peaceful parenting because they'll be able to connect their personal life to what they experienced as a kid, see themselves as a kid more, and not be able to as easily treat kids in a negative manner that some people do. But how about when you put it on social media, when you share it with other people? What do you think the effect is about doing that to children? Now, an attached thing, the next thing is this video about Mayor Bill de Blasio of New York. He's running for mayor again, and he had a campaign ad I saw where he was talking about how, like, when he had kids, it's like when we had our children, he said his children's name, it really changed how we looked at the world. We really realized the importance of pre-K, which is pre-kindergarten. Pre-kindergarten is getting your kids in the public schooling system or in the schooling system very early. I'm not quite sure, but this is, I think, around 3 years old, if not earlier. He said it really, pre-K really affects your kid's future. It really changes the children's future. And then I'm thinking, wait, he's just being unintentionally honest about this. People in the state realize if we get your kids early, give us your children, all your children are ours. We're going to socialize your kids into this. Socialize your kids, bring them into us. He said when we had our kids, it made us realize that everybody's kids were ours or something. He said something like that. That was really creepy. And I was like, no. When I see my nephew, I realize in general, I like kids. I mean, I saw kids, like, I was never the kind of person who's like, kids. But like I was like, oh, kids are cool. Like I would get along with other kids, people's kids when they were brought around me, nieces, nephews, things like that. Never really felt like, oh, I feel icky holding a kid. But there is something more when I saw my nephew, it was like direct DNA, blood relation. There was something different there. That made me want to help him out more than other people's kids. It didn't make me feel like, okay, I got it. I mean, it also did give me some kind of social responsibility, but I did feel it's definitely my responsibility to raise other people's kids more. But with this socialization situation, it made me think of this other video that someone had. I'll try to find that video because the way she said it was also really disturbing. She's talking about how the state or the government or the community's responsibility to raise your children, like this socialization of children. Bill de Blasio understands. We get your kids this early, we'll control your kids' future. We will be the ones to indoctrinate them. We will not be actually parenting them. You will not actually be parenting them. They will be your kids. All your kids belong to us, and all your bases belong to us meme. So Another video was this parent who was outside of a Walmart. He was videoing this and showing that his daughter was crying and yelling, having a fit, and he was talking about how his parents had physically abused him, had hit him, had threatened him with physical violence, and he didn't want to do that to his kids. So he instead of dealing with it in a physical sense, they were in this store. The kid started having a temper tantrum. He took the kid out. His wife, the mother of the child, was still in the store shopping. Took the kid out, sat her in the car, and recorded this video to just show that, yes, I'm not going to hit my kids, but I'm also not going to have like an argument or a debate with this child. Like I'm not going to yell at them, I'm not going to threaten them, but I'm just going to tell them, you need to stop acting this way, and unless or we won't go back inside. And the kid ends up stopping, and then there was this discussion like, is this a better form of parenting? I think it's better than definitely hitting the kid. I think in general I can say I consider that better than hitting the kid. I can consider that better than threatening the kid, saying if you don't stop crying, I'm going to hit you, or I'm going to take this away from you. But he has taken something away from her. So there was this discussion going back and forth where it's like, it's an improvement because a lot of people in the African American community, there's a high level of hitting children. A lot of people in all communities, there's a high level of hitting children. So whenever I see that being reduced, that's good. But then now there's also, I'm wondering, like, is it really cool that he's recording this? I know if he was maybe in the car and he was standing somewhere far off where it was, see, now am I being too judgmental right here by saying like, okay, it might have been better if he could still see here. Maybe he could go stand somewhere and say, like, look, I need to go stand here and record this video because I'm still watching you. I know you're having this tantrum, and stand somewhere, but not put her on video with him, because it's like now he's kind of shaming her in that sense, and she had the consent to put this out to the entire world, because now I think it's been viewed by like 1 million people. So of course some people are like, yeah, and then it's definitely better to see people being like, no, hit that kid. Definitely like that, but what's the situation? What do you guys think? Links below to that video so you guys can see it, and let me know what you think as well. So yeah, when it comes to parenting your kids in this way, the last video is this really horrible video for me. I think it's somewhere in China, it's somewhere in Asia, where you see this mother walking up to these policemen, and she's holding this child, and she's starts poking the kids, and it was just written like, okay, these cops throw this woman to the ground, and then she pokes these cops a few times. I guess she was arguing a ticket, and then the cop just flips her to the ground, and she was holding the kid in her arm, and the kid gets thrown out, and he kind of lands like his face on the ground, and then some people kind of seem to rush up and take care of the kid, but then the two cops are wrestling the woman to the ground, and it's like, okay, who's in the wrong here? And they talk about the police violence thing, and they have the situation, but why was that woman holding the kid? And you have the situation where parents use kids as accessories in some situations. I think this woman was holding that kid as a shield. She was holding that kid, probably saying, "I'm a mother," or thinking like, she could have been thinking, why were you putting that kid in that situation? Why were you sitting there yelling at this cop, poking this cop, pushing this cop? Like, you poked him in the chest a couple of times. You see him receding. stepping back. And then he throws her to the ground. So people, of course, now it's like, should the cops stop and take care of the kid? Should they worry about that? Should they have let her get away with what she was doing because the kid was there? Is it the mother's responsibility to have the kid? And yes, I think it was the mother's responsibility to do that. So that's kind of just a general talk about parenting and socialization of it. Like, her holding that kid, first I thought like, oh, she shouldn't assume that people will care about that kid's life or that kid's well-being as much as she cares about it by holding it and doing this and thinking they'd let her get away with it because she's holding the kid. And then I automatically, before typing that, I thought, wait, she's actually shown how much she cares for that kid by putting that kid in that dangerous environment. That's probably more of an accessory child than anything. I'm thinking if I was in that situation, if I get pulled over by a cop or anything like that, I would not necessarily hold my kid and go talk to this cop. I'd try to find a way to maybe put the kid in the back seat, and then I'd stand out there, and even if I had to have the conversation with the cop, talk while I can still see the kid, but not hold the kid in my hand. And so there's a whole lot of things. Not a parent yet, so you can just say everything I've said in this video and be like, you're not a parent, you don't know what you're talking about. Hey, yeah, so the video cut off there, but I was winding up anyway. So yeah, as I said, not a parent. If you guys have some experience with it or have some opinions, please let me know in the comments. Also, just I don't, if you're going to just say, oh, people who don't have parents shouldn't really talk about this thing, or you don't have nothing to say about other people's how people raise other people's kids or how people raise their kids, that's a non-starter. I'd rather you keep that to yourself. I mean, feel free if you want to share it, of course, but I don't think it goes anywhere because, as we're talking about here with the socialized parenting, some of my whole question of this is it how much of an issue is it to share your parenting with other people? And once you do that, once you put your own kids on social media, once you put what you're doing with your kids out there, I think it's only fair and expectable that other people will comment on that and share what their opinion, what you shared. And then also you have situations where the government and the states have that whole, oh, it's our responsibility to raise your kids or parent your kids. How about that? Now, how about that? Oh, jeez. Yeah, like that kid. Exactly. That kid. How about that kid? We can all say that parent did something kind of off with raising that kid. But then now that kid's apparently releasing music videos, making all sorts of money. So how about that? How about that? Anyway, so we judge what other people do with kids. That happens. I'm not saying that's necessarily a negative thing. And that's kind of why I'm making this kind of videos. What do you guys think? Do you think it's negative? Don't say that whole again. Do not just come here and say you don't have parents. You don't have the right to talk about how people raise their kids. Because if you're out there paying taxes, if you're out there supporting public schools, if you're out there talking about governments need to do this for other people's kids, then you have some say on what other people are doing with their kids. You obviously judged, or you are judging that, yes, I think the government should have a position in raising other people's kids or in how people raise their kids. So we do that, and it's okay to do that. I think it's helpful and it makes us find better ways of raising kids. I suggest peaceful parenting, look into it. But yeah, that's it for now, and like, share, and subscribe. Till next video. I think I'm going to try to post up the merchandise on my store. There's going to be links below to that of the Hands Up Don't Hit. I might put this in the Hands Up Don't Hate series of peaceful parenting and parenting series. Yeah, I think I'm going to put it in there. But yeah, till next video, this is Silas. Goodbye.